What's up, everybody? I'm Richard.
And I'm Shawn.
And today we're speaking the language of bromance. And today, Shawn, is a day for kaijus.
Oh, Richard, HBO Max is the gift that keeps on giving.
Oh my God, right?
Yeah,
100%.
we just did. Shoot, I forgot what it was called because I mean, there's just
Justice
so much.
League.
Yeah, Zack Snyder's Justice
Snyder
League.
Cut.
4 hours.
Snyder Cut.
Yeah, we got Mortal Kombat coming soon.
Chef's kiss. Mwah.
But Richard, what we get first that we're going to talk about today is Godzilla Vs Kong, and this was on. We like to do at the end of every year. We do our bro huddle where we bring on one of our bestest friends in the whole wide world to talk about all the things we want to see for the coming year. Yeah. And usually when we talk about the things that we wanted to see the previous year, we're all busy. So there's lots of stuff that we miss. And this was a movie when it came on, we knew it was going to be HBO Max. Said, no, guess what? We're going to watch this and force one of our good friends, the King of the North, to come on here and talk about it. So he has to. So if his wife and kids are like, hey, we got stuff to do, we want to hang out, he's like, no, I got to watch this movie because I can't let my bros down.
Yeah.
And
also book 6 hasn't come out yet. So in lieu of that, we'll talk about this.
Yeah. So it's like I don't have anything to read, so I'm going to watch this movie. So Richard, to cover Godzilla vs. Kong, we brought on our good buddy, John. John, thank you very much as always for jumping on the podcast, and welcome, sir, to this big battle between two giant monsters.
Oh, man, thank you guys. Once again, as always, having me come on. I was trying my best not to laugh during any of that. I kind of failed towards the end of it. But that was exactly what happened. My family was like, hey, you want to do something? I said, no, I got to watch monsters fight. So, sorry. We got to be on pause here.
Well, can we watch it with you? No, I really got to focus because we go really
I got to
focus.
I have my notebook out.
Do you have recording equipment at my house? How do you know? How do you know all this?
No, but this is so years ago. I think I've got it up here to kind of show, like in 2019. Or no, I'm sorry, it goes even further back. So Kong Skull Island came out in 2017, and it seems like Warner Brothers and stuff has kind of done like a lot of like back alley like creations of these universes, because I don't think Kong Skull Island was really supposed to be the start of this monster universe. I may be thinking of it wrong, but because that took place in like the 70s or 60s.
Yeah, right at the tail end of the Vietnam War, and they went there, and even before that, because John C. Reilly, right?
Yeah.
Like he was World War II sometime. I think 44 was when they said, and he crashed there, and then did that to I think the 70s, yeah. And then we got that craziness with that, and I have to say, I sat and I actually watched the original Godzilla that came out. I think it was 2014. I want to say.
Yeah, and I think that's right. It was Godzilla 2014.
Oh shit, that was
King of Monsters. Yeah, and then King of Monsters was
2019.
18?
2019?
Okay, 19.
Yeah, and then Kong was 2017, right?
Yeah.
Shawn, you said that? Yeah. So yeah, I watched them all, and it is interesting too, because like you see the little snippets in each one, and like I was just ignorant to the whole thing. I didn't even think that these monsters would be in the same universe at all. And I was like, oh man, it was right there. It was right there since the beginning. And I'm going, oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was a post-credit scene in Godzilla, right? Where it showed Big Giant Monkey.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was.
What?
I remember.
It was like a cave painting on a wall or something, right? With Big Giant Monkey.
Maybe, because I know in King of Monsters they talk a lot about Skull Island at the very end credits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, by the time King of Monsters was around, like they knew that they were making this.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's easy to plant the seeds at that point because you know that's on the way. But 2014. you're like, hey, let's put King Kong on a cave wall, and then people will be like, oh my god,
Yeah,
it's
right?
King Kong.
Yeah, that ramped up quick. Yeah, because you got 2014, then 3 years later you got Kong, and then 2 years later you got King of Monsters, and 2 years later it's this movie, Godzilla versus Kong. I actually, because King of Monsters was one that was on your list for a bro huddle. I think it might have been 2018's then. And I didn't see it until about a month and a half, 2 months ago, because it was on HBO Max for free, quote free.
Oh.
Yeah.
But like it was a halfway decent movie. I remember seeing the trailer and being like, Godzilla was 5 years ago at that point. And Godzilla didn't leave a bad taste in my mouth, but it was just, giant monsters fighting, which I'm all for. But there was a lot of, like, they tried to fit in a lot of human plot. I actually I just realized the lady who plays Wanda in WandaVision and Scarlet Witch, Olsen, she was in Godzilla.
Yes.
I didn't realize that until we were watching it on TV.
Oh my god, you're right. I just yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Because I saw that, I was like, oh shit, that's Elizabeth Olsen.
Is it weird with the original Godzilla that the big crazy like thing with the 2014 Godzilla was that they killed Bryan Cranston like 20 minutes in, because you saw him like all over the trailers be like, Bryan Cranston, and you're like, holy shit, Walter White, because this is like just after Breaking Bad. Like Breaking Bad, I think had just ended, and so everybody's like, holy shit, Bryan Cranston, fucking Walter White's in Godzilla. 20 minutes in, you're like, oh my god, like they killed him.
He's dead.
How much of this movie's left? 90 minutes? Wait, what?
He's not really dead, right? He's got to come back, right? Yeah, because that threw me off the whole movie, because I'm like, he's got to come back.
All over the fucking trailer. All over the the trailer was basically, the trailer gave you the impression like Godzilla starring Bryan Cranston.
But I do like that Godzilla versus Kong was more so, because they had Millie Bobby Brown. They had a couple other fairly decent names, but they didn't like bury the lead. This wasn't Godzilla with Millie Bobby Brown. This was Godzilla and Kong featuring all these other people.
Yeah, this was the intersection of those two, because I mean, I felt like that, like John said, they did kind of drop the seeds for Kong in the Godzilla movies, but Skull Island felt like a very standalone-ish movie to me. Like Skull Island felt like a movie apart. Like it wasn't, it didn't have anything to do with, crazy lizards swimming in the ocean.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I was like, and that's, I think, what threw me off the whole time, and not really sitting down and watching them originally when they were in theater or anything like that. And I just, for whatever reason, didn't make that connection. I just thought, oh, this is a standalone movie. And it wasn't until I seriously watched them all basically back to back, besides Godzilla versus King Kong. I waited on that one, and I was like, oh man, it's obvious. Like some of the opening credits, they use the same like sequences about, trying to bomb these monsters back in the 50s and 60s. And, it's really interesting how they went about it. And then all of a sudden we get like this Hollow Earth theory.
Oh, yes. I've always wanted to investigate that in an episode, because it's super interesting.
Yeah. I like the Hollow Earth. In the Hollow Earth thing, they kind of drop seeds on that in King of Monsters, because, oh God, what's his name? Brad Whitford. The actor, Brad Whitford, throughout that whole movie, he was like, we don't know how Godzilla's able to get from one place to the other so fast. And he's like, Hollow Earth!
Yeah.
So I guess, John, like going into this movie, like how'd you feel about them? Let's start with Kong, because, Godzilla, we know, King of Monsters, he becomes King of the Monster. And you have to figure out, okay, like, well, why isn't he going out and trying to fight this Kong person that we know exists? So how'd you feel about like the introduction of Kong in this movie?
Oh man, I really enjoyed it. I know everyone, even before the movie was coming out, like everyone was talking and they were joking and they're like, there's no way Godzilla is bigger than Kong. And I mean, when it all is said and done, even they dropped that hint in, I think, Skull Island, where they're like, oh, he could get even bigger. I realized, I was like, oh, that'd be kind of goofy if he's not the same size as him. So I'm very interested to see how this goes.
Yeah.
And was pleasantly surprised with it. And I'm willing, I know that this is a monster movie, and, you know, it is what it is, and it's not trying to play itself as anything else. So I was totally fine with everything. I love seeing, I gotta say, for the most part, I really enjoyed the CG. Like, sometimes you can be like, oh man, it still looks a little off, but I really enjoyed it. And especially what they had to do. Like, oh, hey, we're going to have two giant monsters fight each other. We got to get this movement down. I'm assuming there was mocap technology involved, but they did a really good job with it, and having those two meet up. And I was weirdly surprised originally when, you know, they show him off and he's like, oh, stretching, and he takes the tree and is just like, launch and hits the dome, and I'm like, how the hell did they get him off Kong Skull Island? What the hell?
Yeah.
You know, where's that story at? Is that gonna, you know, come out after? Are we gonna find, you know, that or am I gonna have to read a comic book or something to get that story? I'm interested to see how he went from Skull Island to then, you know, Liar Liar, and or not Liar Liar, but the Truman Show.
Yeah.
And then you know, he goes to Antarctica. And
what was that?
And,
was the Truman Show dome, was that was still on Skull Island, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if the dome was somewhere else. I don't know if that was supposed to be a part of Skull Island. I really got lost on that. With, it was like, oh, okay, is this just supposed to mimic this, or?
I was under the impression it was somewhere else, because they kind of allude that, like, that there ended up being like some big giant storm, like that constantly was surrounding, or that constantly surrounded Skull Island, so nobody could get to it. So I was under the impression that they took Kong off it before that storm came in, but they had him there. They basically kept him there so that way Godzilla didn't know he was around.
Yeah, I thought that's what the thing was doing, was kind of hiding Kong. But I thought maybe they just called it was it the Apex Kong Island or Skull Island? Maybe that was just the name of it.
Yeah, like the Monarch. Yeah, I remember. You're right. They were hiding him. That was the whole point, to hide him from there. So,
which
I was gonna ask before we get into any of this. The name of the movie is Kong versus Godzilla. So did everybody have like a favorite going in? Out of the three of us, like, it was like, oh, Godzilla's totally gonna get this, or was somebody, you know, or weren't any of us like, I don't know, man, I think my money's on Kong? Like, who was anybody rooting for anybody in particular?
I was kind of pulling for Kong.
Were you?
Yeah.
See, I was pulling for Godzilla.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, I was going back and forth on that, because I mean, I know that there's the original, right? Like from the 60s.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if they were going to pay homage to that at all, or if they were just going to go in their own direction. I mean, as a kid, I absolutely loved Godzilla. But as an adult, I really enjoy primates. That was my minor in college, was the study of primates and anthropology and whatnot. So I think I was like sitting there and arguing with myself, who do I really want to win? But yeah, I think I kind of gave the upper vote to Kong, but I seriously thought Godzilla was going to win. Like, I was like, oh, I kind of want Kong to win, but it'd be kind of cool if Godzilla won, just because of, you know, the original, and like, kind of like, oh, hey, we're gonna do things differently. But yeah, it was very interesting. I have to say, I did not expect the curveball. Nice.
I didn't either. I guess with me it was, you know, like with John, I loved Godzilla when I was a kid. I watched them all. But from a practical standpoint, like, Godzilla just had a movie where he, you know, trounced a three-headed dragon, and then a big monkey shows up, and, like, you know, I'm sorry guys, it feels like a peg down for me.
Well,
You know?
I do think
Like-
that Godzilla kind of made Kong his bitch, though. Like, there was only one out of all the interactions where Kong kind of had an upper hand, and it was after all the humans like shot a bunch of shit at Godzilla and like weakened him and distracted him.
Yeah. Kong definitely didn't feel like he got the upper hand in any of those fights. Sometimes it felt pretty equal until the pinnacle of those fights, and Godzilla seemed to still come out on top. And even in some instances, like one of the fights, I really thought like, oh, Kong's given up the alpha to him. Like he finally was just kind of like, all right, you beat me, Godzilla. You win.
Was it the part where he was like standing on his chest and crushing his
he like roars at him, but like you could almost tell in that voice, like, man, I still want to mess you up.
In the back of his head, he's like, I just want to go back to home. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
These fucking people put me in a goddamn tuna net and drug me here. I don't even want to be here.
Go back to Hollow, fight those dragon things.
Yeah, I was in this nice Truman Show dome, and then everybody threw me out in the snow. I was on a boat for a minute.
I learned how to sign language. I could just sign with my new friend.
Fucking giant lizard shooting fire at me. I hate it here.
Yeah, I got going back to like the dome thing. It felt like a genius, terrible plot point. Because as we got into this, like the first part of it, they're talking about how, Godzilla like defeated all the monsters. There is no threat. And then like, it's like, well, what the fuck would Kong be then at this point? And they're like, oh, magic, camo dome. Like, can't see him here because it's a magic dome. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, well, okay. I mean,
all right.
How'd you get him in there? Like,
yeah. What happened? Did that little girl like convince him? What's going on?
She's like, go play. And he's like, oh, okay.
All right, cool, thanks.
They make a dome really quick. Quick, he's distracted.
Yeah. I'm going to throw this stick. All right, build a dome really, really fast before he gets back.
Hurry up.
So, okay. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to, like, I will say that the fights between Godzilla and Kong, the first one, I felt like Kong was at a severe disadvantage. They're on he's on a little boat, and they're in the middle of the fucking ocean. Like, Godzilla can swim. He could just, like, zip around in the fucking water like it's nothing. And Kong's like, hey, all I can do is stand on this rickety ass, basically a board that you have for me. And I'll give it up to him. Like, he went toe to toe with Godzilla while basically standing on a board in the middle of a lake.
You know what they messed up there, Richard? They didn't give him floaties. Those big round floaties like you get.
That's what they should have done.
That's in the Snyder cut.
Yeah, they just CG a big inflatable tube around him with a duck on it. He's just like splashing around.
That's the real Godzilla Kong movie.
He picks up a destroyer and he's like, toot toot.
I will say that go ahead, John. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, it definitely it was Godzilla territory. So like you could almost be like, oh yeah, he gets the first round for sure.
Yeah,
his neck of the woods. There's no way. He even almost drowned him, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Yes,
I feel like that. Like there's not much like thinking into that. It's like, okay, well, we got to get to Antarctica to have Kong lead us to the Hollow Earth. Which, as you think about it, they already kind of knew where that was, so I don't really know what he fit into.
They built a big, giant fucking base for it.
Yeah, there's a base.
There's a base. They drilled and they've got like, it looked like basically like a town that they constructed around this hole that they drilled into the Hollow Earth. But there's some sort of fucking magic barrier that stops everybody from going in.
Well, it sounded like they couldn't find it. So they get there's like, okay, let's see where he goes. Like, he's going down that big giant hole. Oh, okay, well, let's follow him.
Hey, look, he's going down the giant hole we dug. Let's follow him and see where it leads.
Yeah, I know. Like there wasn't really a good explanation too. It was just like, oh, this doctor's brother of the guy who played in True Blood, Skarsgård, his brother turned into basically a puddle trying to get there because of the gravity situation. And somehow, if you have a bigger object that's breaking through that barrier, then the little stuff can break through too.
Oh, that makes sense.
Science.
Yeah. But I mean, to be fair, Godzilla can like shoot a hole straight through it. If he's not careful, that could go all the way through the other side.
Right?
Exactly.
He can only do that so many times.
Oh man, I tell you what, I would be pissed if I found my new home. I sat down in my comfy giant throne, and then all of a sudden a laser beam came going right through my house. Be like, what the hell just happened?
Kong gets there. He's like, guys, we should just stay.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
He basically made a fast travel point. That's what
it's true.
He's like, Godzilla literally made a plot hole in the movie. What happened? He shot fire on the ground and created a plot hole to the center so that way everybody could get out.
It was a literal plot hole.
It was.
I do feel like Alexander Skarsgård should win all the awards for this movie, because he played serious, he played nerdy. Like, this is the dude that was in, like you said, John, True Blood. He was a badass in True Blood.
Yes.
And he plays this kind of whimsical, like nerdy dude. He shows like emotion. Like, you're like, seriously, like you're the director on the set. You're like, all right, Alexander, this is what you gotta do. Can I call you Alex? And he's like, no. Can I call you Alexander? He's like, no, it's Skarsgård. No. Like, okay, Skarsgård.
Mr. Skarsgård.
You just shocked the shit out of a monkey. Well, they're actually apes. Whatever, fuck it, we don't care. You shocked the shit out of this big giant thing. It may be Godzilla, it may be Kong. We haven't quite figured that out yet.
Yeah.
Now be emotional.
For you, it's a tennis ball and a stick.
Yeah, man, that's exactly it. All right, this tennis ball and a stick.
Yeah. For you, it's a guy covered in ping pong balls.
Yes.
Point is, you just shocked him.
I love the interaction with the little girl in it too, where she calls him a coward. She's like, signing coward, and he's like, "You're very brave," and he signs coward to her. I did laugh out loud on that one.
There was this movie, like, to me, if this came out like in a normal time, and like this would be a great theater, middle of summer, nothing's been on for a month or two type of movie. You go get your popcorn, your soda, you sit there, and your brain just, like, it didn't take itself too serious. It played the right kind of notes on the comedy stuff. You got a shit ton of, like, because people go to this for big monsters fighting. And I lucked out because I guess the last trailer kind of exposed the big plot point in this movie of the mechanical monster. The robot Godzilla.
It's Mecha Godzilla. Have you watched a Godzilla movie, Sean?
My first one was the Broderick one from like 2000. So there was no.
All right, so John and I are going to do the rest of the show now. We want you to sit quietly.
But I didn't see the trailer that they showed Mecha Godzilla in, so I wasn't expecting that to be in it. And seeing that was kind of cool.
Wait a minute, you watched Ready Player One. Mecha Godzilla's in that?
I wasn't, but they didn't show anything because they were just selling this as Godzilla versus Kong.
I know, but you didn't even you had to wait to call him Mecha Godzilla. You're like, I don't know, the robot Godzilla.
Well, that's what they called it in the movie.
You call him by his proper title.
You pulled the line in the movie. Yeah. It was like Robo Godzilla. And he's like, what?
And just like Rich, the guy's like, that's Mecha Godzilla. It's like, whatever. Yeah. That's Robot Godzilla.
Monkey, ape, whatever. Robot, giant lizard, whatever.
Rich gets offended I call it Robot Godzilla, but he's like, monkey, ape, whatever. Science, real life.
Yeah, that was my favorite, was seeing the comeuppance on the daughter of the Apex guy, where she just kept calling him King Kong monkey, and then he just was like crush, and that was it. And I was like, oh, all right, sweet ending.
That was good. So as much as as I've like during the actual battle scenes between Kong and Godzilla, where it kind of felt like Godzilla kind of got the upper hand most of the time, I do feel like Kong still got like his hero moments, so to speak, and they didn't feel forced. It wasn't a case of like, oh well, Godzilla did this, so now Kong's got to do something cool. Like we can't make him out to be a total bitch, so let's have him do some cool stuff. Like Kong got to do, like he had like cool hero moments, and and they didn't feel shoehorned in. Like he got to go down into the hollow earth and he's ripping lizards apart and finds a giant cool fucking axe that for some reason glows because science. I don't know.
Yeah. I bought into that because when they showed that in the trailer, him like swinging that axe, I'm like, man, is that going to play well like when you actually watch it? But I thought it did.
Right. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I think they did a good job with portraying him, and it really, to me, it still felt like Godzilla was the winner in the end. I know some people felt the other way. I don't see that, but I really thought he got his licks in, and Rich, like you said, it wasn't just shoehorned in. Like they're like, oh, we got to do it this way to please the fans, or
right.
I thought it was great what they did.
Before the movie, Kong's like, no, I need these 12 spots, or I'm not doing the match.
Let's check his contract. First off, I need to be referred to as a primate, not a monkey, not an ape, not an orangutan, not a chimp.
Yes.
I'm a primate.
Right?
I mean, as I think about it, like I don't know how you could think Kong won in any aspect except that he was sent to his home, because I guess Hollow Earth was his home.
Yeah.
And so now he is kind of the alpha of that world, if you will, and Godzilla is the alpha of the other world.
Yeah.
But even then,
that's kind of the impression I got as well.
Yeah, but even then, I feel like Kong, it's like he had this cool island where he got the sun. I mean, I guess Hollow Earth is kind of like that too, but I don't know. I think Skull Island would probably be a little bit nicer because there's well, I guess he did like to eat that dragon thing where he drank its brain.
Yeah, that was sweet. He decapitated it. Just like,
Go.
The tie-in to King of the Monsters, where apparently the only way you could control Mechagodzilla is through the desiccated skull of another kaiju. Did that feel like? Is this Pacific Rim 3, guys? Did we make Pacific Rim 3? Because that's kind of how it felt to me.
Yeah, but they said it was because that one specifically talked via what's it called?
Like telepath?
Yeah, telepathically. So they kind of like bought into that. So like one skull was in, at least that's how I envisioned it. One skull was in Mechagodzilla, and then somebody sat in the other one to talk to that one to make it do stuff. And then the third, I'm guessing, was in a museum somewhere.
Yeah, because at the end of King of Monsters, oh gosh, what was his name?
I don't know.
The guy
that played Tywin Lannister.
Yes, Tywin Lannister. I feel absolutely terrible saying that, but Tywin Lannister was like, "We'll take it," and then that was it. And so it's like, all right, what happened? Did the Apex guy, the most interesting man in the world, did he like buy it from him? What happened there? I don't know.
He's the evil Elon Musk of the MonsterVerse.
Yeah, man.
That's kind of the impression that you got from him, basically. Yeah, it was like evil Elon Musk.
Which, I mean, you think so? So Godzilla defeats all the monsters, saves the world. He's the savior of man, and for 5 years doesn't do shit, right?
Well, I don't think it's that he's the savior of man. It's just he beat all the other monsters, and so now he's in charge of basically he's the apex monster.
Yeah,
it's not really
threat.
It's not really that he protects that he's protecting humans. I think it's just that you exist on a world where Godzilla's in control. Yeah,
well, I think during the attack afterwards, they said something about him being the protector of man.
His pet.
Yeah, but there's no threat, and so then somebody comes around. It's like, all right, we got this big monster in the sea that hasn't done
Yeah.
shit to us for 5 years. Let's make something bigger to piss it off.
And get
Yeah.
this, we're gonna call our company Apex.
We'll rub it in even more. Does that fucking thing know English? I don't know. I don't care.
Hey, guess what? We're gonna make a robot, and it's gonna look just like you. Ha ha ha!
Hey, Godzilla, guess what its name is? Mecha Godzilla, sponsored by Pepsi.
Big Pepsi logo across its chest. It's like a NASCAR. It's got just decals all
sponsorships.
all down the side.
So I guess that's a good question. So if Kong didn't come back too, what are your guys' thought? Do you think Mecha Godzilla would be the alpha and Godzilla would be no more?
I mean, that's kind of the way it was. That's kind of the way it was going. Because he had the spinny drill tail. He was shooting lasers, and
The spinny drill tail is pretty sweet.
yeah. He's always had the spinny
it looked
drill
like he
tail.
was done for, but then the power of friendship and teamwork showed us the true story of the true moral of the story of Godzilla versus Kong.
Yep.
And we really got to see the beauty in it, and that defeat. Mwah.
Yeah, it's a tale as old as time. I mean, it's two enemies who really aren't enemies. It's just a misunderstanding. And then they get up to find a more common enemy to defeat. They give themselves a little fist bump and they say, all right, let's do this.
Yeah.
Bros for life, BFFs.
Yep. For that small moment in time, Godzilla and Kong were BFFs.
That's right.
Do you think they still call each other? Like, do you think Godzilla goes to that big giant plot hole he made and says like, hello?
Roar! Roar! Roar!
He just messes with them, messes with Kong. Hey, I just want you to know, I still beat your ass.
Hey, dumb monkey! Just spits down the hole. And
Kong's like, if
hey,
I
what
could
are you?
come
Oh God!
up there. Kong's like, if I could come up here, you did it once, you little bitch. Why don't you do it again? I've got
I like
stuff to
it down
do.
here.
How do you like the sunroof in your house, huh?
Yeah, I like it down here. I've got chairs and
How's the
trees.
Wi-Fi? It sucks. Yeah.
Got this pretty cool axe. Want to charge it up again for me?
Yeah. So that way I can win. Yeah, the axe thing. So the axe was charged up because of the power of the planet.
Yeah, right. Like,
Yes.
that was the whole idea of it. I guess was because of that, the radiation or something with it, which was also questionable to me because, I mean, was it radiation?
I guess
it sound like.
Yeah, that's the impression I got too. I guess the thing when the thing with me on a lot of the points in this movie in particular was there were things that just I guess maybe that things that kind of get glossed over that like I personally would like, maybe a deeper explanation, but I understand why you don't want to waste time on giving it. Like there's a giant, like in the center of the hollow earth, there's a giant, like hall with giant stone columns, looks like a palace. I'm like, who built this? Did the monkeys build it? Were people down here? Did people build it? How did this thing show up?
Well, and then when he put that axe
Has
in a little
anything from
cradle,
the hollow earth ever gotten out? And
Well,
if they
apparently,
did,
yeah.
Well, Kong did,
Yeah.
right?
Well, and if
Yeah.
you look when he put the axe in the little axe holder and it lit up stuff, around the throne was like a Godzilla-like outline of the stone.
Yeah. Right.
So Godzilla apparently started there, or at least had made trips down there.
Right. Yeah. Has Godzilla ever been there? What'd he do? How did he get
right.
there? How'd he get out? Why did he get out? Like, I guess it's just like there's a bunch of like little seeds that I kind of would have liked explained. However, I completely understand why you're not going to waste time explaining that stuff to me. But it's still questions I had. Like, I get it. Like, you got a movie where you got big giant monsters that are gonna fight. Like, let's get to that as soon as possible. Like, I get it. I get it. I guess, you know, the nerd in me is kind of sitting there going like, well, wait, like, what about this? Like, what if there's a bunch of monsters down here in the Hollow Earth? What if they get out? Have they ever gotten out? What do they do? Have people been down here?
That's the prequel.
Right?
It'll be Kong Hollow Earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that's exactly it. I won't be surprised if we're going to get a prequel after this.
Yeah, and King of Monsters, like, Godzilla was sleeping in what I think is Atlantis.
Yeah, right. It kind of made it look like that, like some underwater world.
Yeah,
know?
There's some underwater city that, you know, the Godzilla's just like, you know, that's where he sleeps, and there's big lava tubes that are, you know, and it's super radioactive, and that's where he, you know, takes a nap on top of what appeared to be like a pyramid, like he was worshipped as a god.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You know, you could make an interesting movie about that.
Were those people part of Hollow Earth? I don't know.
Well,
it's just all these little, like, I need a little more, but I get it. I get it.
You can make Atlantis like basically they lived on Godzilla and was powered off of him, and that's why they're so technologically advanced. And then they did something to piss him off. They called him a big giant lizard. He's like, I'm not a lizard.
No, he was just sleeping, and then he rolled over, and then that's what sunk Atlantis. That's what sunk Atlantis. It was just he was tossing and turning in his sleep.
Yeah.
So what we're figuring out here is that we're going to get the Aquaman Godzilla crossover now, and figure out what's going to happen there. So
you know, they are both Warner Brothers properties.
Exactly.
So,
right?
Oh my God, can you imagine like fucking Jason Momoa riding, like standing on top of Godzilla, like with his trident,
yeah, right.
Like standing on, like Godzilla's just like swimming through, and he's got like, he's like holding the reins, and he's got his trident in one hand. I'd fuck him in that moment.
This is the next Justice League Darkseid movie.
The only true alpha, Jason Momoa.
Yeah. I'd fuck him in that moment. I'd be like, you know what? You win.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't compete.
Some one-liner. He's like, looks like I calmed the beast.
Yeah. Some shit would make my panties drop.
Yeah. Okay, here you go, sir. What were your thoughts on the conspiracy theorist podcast guy?
Anytime I watch something and you see podcasting in it, I get a little giddy.
Yeah.
It's definitely more like common in the world, but like, you know, we know like the ectoplasm guys, and you know, I know a couple other kind of, you know, supernatural conspiracy theory-esque podcasts. So seeing that like got me pretty giddy. And the fact that she was listening to it not only on the computer, but like on an like an actual phone type thing too, like that showed the dedication.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was nice. I really liked his character. I thought he was hilarious. He did a good job with it, and it was a nice kind of crossover with. Even though I think maybe like there was one guy from Skull Island that made an appearance in this, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, it was have to be people in the present, because Skull Island took place back in the day. But it was nice seeing like them in it, and really kind of noting that like, all right, this is the side story. This isn't the story people truly care about. People just want to see the big giant monsters, but we still got to have some interesting filler. And I really liked the conspiracy guy. Yeah, and you know. Of course, he had a podcast. So.
I you know, one thing that I wasn't until I was really thinking about it. I like the fact that the crazy conspiracy guy wasn't a crazy conspiracy guy. Like, you always have that crazy conspiracy guy, and then something happened. He's like, "See, I was right. I was right this whole time." Like, this guy actually had you kind of got a sense of his motivation, and he never really seemed like off the wall crazy. He just had a thing that he thought was right, and
it
turned out that he was right.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he actually worked there too. So like he was more of a mole or an inside man.
Yeah, he was a conspiracy guy in the sense that, you know, he had an idea that a lot of people don't have, but I actually wouldn't even he wasn't crazy, and I did like the fact that he wasn't just portrayed as like a nutcase that believed, you know, everything that got put in front of him.
Yeah,
he seemed like a reasonable guy. He seemed like a reasonable dude.
Yeah, he wasn't
that
like
had a
pilot.
podcast.
He wasn't like the pilot from the Independence Day movie.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
But yeah, right.
Even then, like he probably shouldn't have called it the Titan conspiracy theory because I mean he was kind of more of a whistleblower than a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, he was an undercover whistleblower.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, who just happened to really like Bleach.
I guess calling it blowing the Apex Titan probably isn't a good name for a podcast.
Hey, welcome back to Blowing the Apex Titan.
So let's see. So yeah, the interconnecting threads with the actual people in this movie, like, I mean, it's like John said, like, I get that you have to have that in there. You need some filler between, you can't just have monsters beating on each other for 90 minutes. The movie would cost like $4 trillion.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't imagine seeing that team, like that CG team, man. Oh.
They just all have like long beards. And they're just,
oh
gosh.
But I think they did good with sprinkling it in because like I said earlier, a lot of these movies, the plot, like we said, is monsters fighting, but they try to make the human side of it the story. And you're like, no, they're like kind of living around this event going on. They're not really the epitome of what's happening.
Exactly.
And
I think that was I think that's been the downfall of. I was definitely the downfall of the older Godzilla movie, the Matthew Broderick.
Oh
one.
yeah,
that movie was more about the people than it was about the monster.
Right.
I would say it's probably I would kind of say that was more true of the 2014 Godzilla 2. It felt like it was more about the people rather than the big giant monsters. I felt like King of the Monsters, I think they really kind of like, okay, we understand, we get it, we know what you want to see a bunch of giant monsters like tearing shit up, and then occasionally they beat each other and just they fight. Okay, that we get it. Let's just put them all in. Rodan, Mothra. Let's just throw them all in there. And everybody's like, this is great. This is exactly what we want.
Some artsy fartsy Hollywood person's like trying to take it super serious, and then King of the Monsters like, fine, you want Mothra? Do you want that? What else do you want? You want other monsters? Do you like that? Do you? Like, yeah, actually I do. I like it a lot better.
Yeah, that's exactly what I like. Yeah.
It's like the oh shit, what was it called? Rocko's Modern Life, where I don't know if you guys remember this, but the Hollywood kid of the Neighbors like made up this cartoon.
Yeah.
And like he wanted to make it art, and so he tried to ruin it by making like just a full 15 minutes of what was it, like black, I think, like just nothing. It was like hailed as a genius. He's like, no, this is crap. Where's the story? Wacky Delia.
I was glad though. I think that they did a good job of just being like, all right, we know what this is. Let's just do this and have at it, and hopefully it will be a success. And I hope, now I'm interested to see how things are going to go with HBO Max and all of this. I really like it. I mean, if I'm assuming, once COVID's kind of like said and done with, that they might do kind of like the Disney Plus thing and be like, all right, we're going to actually charge a little bit more for these movies. But until then, I think this is awesome. And I'm sure they've gotten a lot of subscribers because of this. And I really hope that we get another Kong and Godzilla movie in somewhat shape or form, because I didn't realize that this was missing from my life and I needed it.
100% feel the same way.
I was going to say that's the next question. Like where can the story go from here? Like now you have Kong in the middle of the earth, who is the protector of the hollow earth, and then you have Godzilla swimming around up top, and he's, like there's no more monsters left for him to fight. So now what? We've already got Mecha Godzilla that is now gone.
Yeah.
So I guess what's the next beat? Like, where are we off to next?
So there are no other monsters, right, from the Godzilla lore? Because I would think, like, with Kong in Hollow Earth, you could have him awake. So you do your or maybe you do like a Captain America type thing where you do your prequel, but at the end you cut back to modern time, and you see somewhere in like the prequel and the modern time, Kong awakens something, and that leads into the Godzilla. Actually, it would be Godzilla Kong V, whatever this monster would be.
I mean, in the old movies, I think King Ghidorah was kind of like his nemesis.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was kind of like where it kind of stopped. There really wasn't anybody that was more villainous, more of a villain to Godzilla than that. And so now I don't know. That's the thing, is now I don't know where you go.
You have all.
I feel like this movie did well. Like, I didn't really see anybody like thrashing it I didn't see anybody really thrashed on the internet. I didn't hear anybody say like, this fucking vacuous, vapid, fucking terrible like, no, like everybody's like, it's a movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I only saw positive things about it.
Yeah.
It was basically just like, kind of the same idea of, wow, I didn't realize that I needed that.
Yeah.
Like, all I needed is just two giant monsters fighting each other and turn my brain off a little bit from everything that's going on in the world.
Well, and since everything's happened too, this is the highest grossing movie. And it's only been out for a couple of weeks at this point, maybe a month at this point. But what you're saying, Richard, like what you could do is all the monsters that were killed, they somehow figure out how to go back in time and join forces and come back. A la Avengers.
Then
you got Godzuki.
Yes.
Baby Godzilla. In the I think in the older movies, I think what they ended up doing was they put all the monsters on rockets and sent them into space, and they all landed on the same plane. Like, basically, like it was kind of like the story of Planet Hulk. It was basically Planet Hulk. We basically just put all the monsters on rockets and shot them, and they all landed on the same planet. And it's like, whatever, go ahead and fuck that planet up. So they all land on this. So all the monsters land on the same planet. I think they call it like Planet X. And they all just basically had like this big battle royale on Planet X. I think that's how it ended. So I don't know if I don't know if that's the next step. Like, do we put Godzilla on a rocket? How do you fit that fucking monster onto a rocket?
You just Buzz Lightyear it, put it on its back.
You just take a stick and you throw it inside, and you're like, go get it. And he walks in there, and you shut the door.
Because, like, I think size-wise, this is the biggest Godzilla if you go by the canon, this is the largest Godzilla has been in all the movies.
Yeah, I've seen like a comparison. I think it's like 3 times the size of like the biggest Godzilla.
Yeah, I think so. He's because like in this one, he's like, like 256 feet tall or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, any of the big buildings that he was by, he was a little bit taller than those. So yeah, at least.
Yeah. I
guess one other thing tying to the movie, how'd you guys feel about the Elon Musk-esque train to Hong Kong? Or where'd it go? It went to Hong Kong, didn't it?
Yeah,
no, it went to Hong Kong. You're right.
Yeah.
How'd you guys feel about that little?
I want it. Why? Yeah. Let's make that.
That's funny. Yeah, you mentioned that. That's exactly what I thought was Elon Musk in the tunnel. Like, yeah. So it really immediately, and my mind was just like, okay, that'd be pretty sweet. I mean, That would be awesome for us
Build
to
that.
live at a time, to see that and experience it.
They had because he was supposed to have the New York to LA one, and there was supposed to be something in the Midwest that was going to cut like between two big. I think it was St. Louis and Kansas City, make that like a 15-minute trip. But something happened recently where I guess that got kiboshed or whatever.
It always does.
He's like, well, how are you going to do this? Well, we're going to put it on stilts. It's like, what about the birds? We'll figure that out. Feature, not a bug.
We'll just switch the birds off. What do you mean switch the bird? Oh my God, he did it.
He knows. That's a conspiracy theorist podcast episode.
Welcome to our conspiracy theory cast. It's called Apex Titan.
The birds are all robots controlled by the government.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
when you sleep, that's when they change the batteries.
Well, yeah, and whenever there's a government shutdown, you never see any birds.
Nope.
So I guess, I guess we kind of talk about HBO Max a lot, but I haven't really heard much of your thoughts on it, John. So what do you see kind of in the future for, I guess, movies, HBO Max? You kind of alluded to a little bit. You think they're going to start charging premium for these, but what are some other thoughts you have on that?
Oh man, I mean, to me, it just makes sense that this is the way that it's going. Even before COVID, it really seemed like a lot of movie theaters were being hit hard with just not too many people going to them anymore. A lot of people just borrowing or stealing from Alamo Drafthouse, basically, because that's where they saw success at with these things. Like, you want to convince your audience that, okay, it's more than just going to see a movie. Like, there's more to this. This is the ultimate date night for you. Hey, we got alcohol now. Hey, we have snacks. And sure, it might cost you a bunch of money, but it's the experience that you're paying for. And I think I don't know if that's going to make a big comeback when things are all kind of settled. I really liked that drive-ins started to make a comeback, and I kind of hope that stays. If that's the next medium or what we revert back to, I don't know. But for me personally, the fact that I can sit and watch a new movie with my family, and I can do it at my leisure, within a certain amount of times, 30 days, I really like that. And I think that that's a good price to pay for it. Okay, if I don't see it within 30 days, then I lost out on it and I got to pay for it. All right, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to them continuing. I don't know how well that plan is going to hold up, though, especially when we get to some kind of normal again and people are doing things. I just see this kind of all of a sudden going, oh, you know what? Hey, thanks for being an HBO Max subscriber. We're going to have to up the price, or like I said, doing what Disney Plus does. And they're going to be like, okay, this movie's going to cost about $20. And if it goes that route, I'm not opposed to that, really. I'm not going to be spending, more than that to see a movie at home. But like, I also think of like the legal aspects of it. And it's like, okay, well, if I'm paying $20, and you have a family of 4, it's like, all right, that's not terrible. That ticket price, I'd be spending that during a matinee. So I can see that. But right now I'm going to be spoiled, and I'm going to take advantage to them letting us see these movies without having to pay a premium. So I hope it sticks, because it's just that good deal idea. But unfortunately, I see it going kind of the same way as like Netflix, where I feel like almost every 6 months Netflix is going, oh, hey, sorry, we got to raise the price on you, and soon enough I'm going to be like, hey, Netflix, I'm calling to see if I can get my streaming service price knocked down a couple bucks. I've been a member for a long, long time. Wait a minute.
I used to get like DVDs cable from you guys. I was just wondering. I mean, I would say, like, I think that this is a good way to get a ton more eyeballs on a movie that people might otherwise not want to go to a theater and see. Like, I probably would have gone to see Godzilla vs Kong. Would I have gone with my entire family? No, I wouldn't have. It probably would have been just me. And so they would have, and so a theater would have gotten my, $8-9, and then the studio would have gotten, 4% of that. And so in a way, I feel like they've kind of almost maybe made more money off of something like this, because now I'm paying $15 to see this movie, and that's all of that $15 is going directly to Warner Brothers.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And I mean, that's the thing too. I'd be interested. I know they'll never say this or show it, but I'd like to see the studies on how many people are watching any of the other stuff on HBO Max besides maybe HBO original things, series. How often do people stay on HBO Max? I mean, with all of these streaming services at your fingertips right now, I've basically, besides wanting to watch the original Kong and Godzilla movies, that was the first time I touched it. Well, okay, Justice League, because that just recently came out. Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to think, what was the last big Wonder Woman 1984? That was like the last time that I had really watched HBO Max. And I'm like, okay, well, you guys already got my money for that month. And I'm sure that there's more people like that are just like, oh yeah, I forgot that I have HBO Max until something new comes out.
Yeah, well, and the thing of, my entire train of thought just derailed. The other thing I was going to say is that not only are they getting all of my $15 as opposed to a percentage of my movie ticket, but they're also getting, reams of user data that they can look and say, okay, this many people watched Godzilla vs. Kong when it came out. Like, maybe this means we should make another one.
Yeah, right.
Like the things that we watch, I think, are going to. I think we're at the point now that the things we watch are informing the things that are getting made.
Yes.
Like, you look at, like what's HBO Max coming out with this year movie wise? It's Godzilla vs. Kong. Next up is Mortal Kombat. Later this year, it's The Matrix. Like, they're looking at what we're watching and they're going, let's make more of what they're watching so that way they can watch more of it and like it.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that, though, because if that's the stuff they're putting out, I feel like you're going to run into like a Pornhubs type scenario where they're like, wait a minute, everybody loves this step family stuff, so we got to make a lot more of it.
That's you know what? That's an excellent. God, I hate the stepsister movie. And they're all over. Or so I've heard. I've heard they're all over.
That's what I've heard too. I haven't seen.
I read it in a book about.
Yes, an
boats.
educational book from a university.
It was
on morals and.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on ethics, and it was in the book about ethics. It was written in the side because somebody made
I got
notes.
it while I was boycotting. That's exactly it. I was going to use the equivalent of the radio, but I like yours better.
Topical. I'm just trying to be topical. I mean, it's like in your point, Richard, where you're talking about like all the money going right to Warner Brothers. That's another thing where I'm probably kind of not the normal type person because with my father-in-law and I, we're going to movies twice a month, and this is a movie we would go see, or we've saw numerous like not good movies because that was just the thing we did. But like the theater we went to was locally owned, like a smaller type theater, and so you think of something like this as we could have went there and spent $35-$40 altogether to see this movie there, where that movie theater got a little bit of that money, and there's young kids being able to work there and stuff like that. If this becomes more the norm, that's going to go away, and you're not going to have those opportunities to kind of have that community involvement with it. And plus, I just like, to me, whenever I watch a movie, the temptation to like flip on your phone or step away, like it's just a lot more convenient. So does that mean we're going to get more, like, I wouldn't say this is a dumbed down movie, but are you going to get more of those movies where you're not as intellectually invested because like, well, we know we don't need to have a whole plot of this because people are probably going to look at their phones at this point. They're going to get up and walk away. Whereas in a theater, you're locked down and you're fully focused.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, I am not one to, I am definitely not cheering on the demise of a move of the theater. I like going to there's movies that I love going to a theater for.
Oh yeah.
And would handedly, throw money at a theater. But I guess I can just I understand what the logic is here. And wasn't really until a little bit ago that I was like, yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers is getting all of that $15 rather than a percentage of a movie ticket. So, I mean, maybe they are coming out ahead. It seems counterintuitive though to spend, umpteen $1 million to make a movie and then you're charging, 4 people altogether $15 to watch it. It seems counterintuitive, but in a way, I guess, it might be better than, not doing fantastically at the box office and you're getting a percentage of that theater ticket.
Yeah, right. It's almost, you're right. It's almost a guaranteed $15 having a subscription service to do it this way than hedging your bets on if the movie's going to do well in the theater or not. Because like you said, they have to take a percentage of it. And I know that like the studies of theaters, it's like the first 2 weeks or so, they take a majority of the money. And then it basically, by the time the third week rolls around, that's when the theater starts to make money back on the film itself. And the whole reason for the high concessions and all that. So like, I feel the big movie studios have been kind of doing this to begin with. They've been the ones that have kind of been really killing the movie theaters from the start because of taking these big, giant increases and charging the certain amount of money for them to play it. I don't know. I think the movie experience, that is something that I look forward to. That's what I've said to other friends. Everyone jokes around like, oh, hey, if you see someone buying concessions at the movie theater, they're a drug dealer because no one's got that type of money. But like that was what my wife and I have looked forward to. It was the, hey, let's get a drink at the movie theater. Let's buy some popcorn, buy the candy and just enjoy it. And like, there are certain movies that just sit so well in a movie theater and that atmosphere and everything that I certainly hope these things don't go away. But I won't be surprised if we're seeing fewer and fewer theaters because of that.
Yeah, the only good news is that there's so many of these streaming services too. Like you said, Rich, like, well, why would they make this movie for HBO Max? It's like, well, because Netflix is going to be making something. Disney's going to be making something. So if you're not producing something, and that's where the competition's breeding good content for the consumer. But yeah, are we going to get to a point where it's like $50 a month for Disney Plus? And you're like, all right, well, there's 3 things coming out in March for Disney Plus I want. So I'm going to cancel everything except Disney Plus. And you just cycle through that way just so you can afford.
You just play this game where you're spinning plates.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, that's it too, is like it's reaching that point that everyone's joked about in the beginning after cutting the cord on cable, that you're going to have so many streaming services that's going to cost the same as your cable cost you. And I know right now the sad thing is they're really trying to crack down on sharing passwords and stuff like that on streaming services.
Yeah.
But I do think that you're going to see that more and more. I know Netflix had originally said, yeah, we know it's a problem and there's nothing you can do about it, but I hate to say it, that these companies are going to be funneling money into doing something like that so that they can try to steal and scrape and bleed every penny out of you, because there are going to be those moments where it's just like, all right, man, do I really want to spend, essentially what's going to be like $20 a month on 3 streaming services, that's $60 right there, you know.
Yeah.
Instead I could be like, hey, how about we go in halvesies on this, you know, and we'll just share the account.
Well,
and I'm seeing a lot more of that amongst friends and acquaintances.
Yeah, me too.
With some of these things.
I always feel like Netflix, they have the family account, but it's like you can only use it in your household. And it's like, just make that a tier where you get 3 simultaneous accounts. We don't care where they are.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's what, instead of trying to do this like how the music industry tried to combat peer-to-peer sharing, you're really going to shoot yourself in the foot. Like, I think Disney Plus is the one that's just kind of like, hey, we know that this is going on. Here's what it is, and you can have up to 5 devices, and we don't care. That has to be the route that it's going to go, because otherwise you're just going to have people that are going, all right, well, I'm not paying for it. And then you're going to see a dip in subscriptions.
Well, if you make it easy, people are willing to pay for that stuff, right? So if it's like $11 a month for 1 account or $20 for 3 accounts, people will do that. Otherwise, if it's like, well, you can have 1 account, but you can stream it, you know, in your household on 3 accounts, it's like, all right, we're going to figure out how to get around this, and you're not getting our extra $9.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Well, boys, next up is Mortal Kombat. That's in a couple weeks. How is everybody feeling about that one?
I'm excited.
I am too.
Yes. Me 3.
I heard it.
It's crazy how, like, you watch it and you're like, you feel like they're like, oh, they're actually taking this seriously. Like, there's a story in this. Christopher Lambert's not Raiden. You don't have a white guy playing the Chinese Thunder God, who really isn't a Thunder God, is a character from Big Trouble in Little China. But that's fine. I don't care.
Well, and I've heard that it butted up to NC-17. Like, it barely just got by with an R.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Well,
now I need the director's cut of that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, John, do you want to jump on for that one, or do you want to pencil you in for that? I
mean, if you guys are more than willing, I would love to.
Oh, well, we'll get it on the calendar. Well, I guess as we're tidying up, then, does anybody have anything else for Godzilla and Kong or HBO Max or any old man things to raise our fist to the air?
Yes, go watch Godzilla and Kong. I mean, it's just a fun, enjoyable movie, and it takes you out of just everyday society and what's going on. And it's nice to be able to enjoy something without having to think much into it. Like, let's just get back to enjoying things for what they are and not having to figure out, like, oh, what's with the Hollow Earth thing? Who cares? It's a fun movie to enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. Like all the little quips, you know, it's stuff that's like, well, that seems kind of stupid. And you're like, who cares?
Yes,
who cares?
Exactly. I'm watching giant
Look, the big lizard's punching the primate.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I mean, I guess about, like, 20, 30 minutes into this, I was like, is it really, is it really fair to kind of like give a serious critique to this movie? Because it doesn't really, like, it's fun. Like, just relax, chill the fuck out and sit back and just watch a movie and just,
it's the epitome of a popcorn movie. Like, you're going in just to sit and brainlessly
100%.
watch and come out
100%.
the same, if not no worse or better than when you first sat down to watch it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, I guess before we jump into some Richard's closing thoughts, John, is there anywhere you want to send anybody to kind of catch more of you on any other podcasts or any other avenues?
Yeah, catch me on Language of Bromance in a couple weeks as we review Mortal Kombat.
But okay, I guess my closing thought on this whole thing is, like, like I said earlier, like, it's a movie. Just relax and have fun with it. Is it bad? No, it's not a bad movie. Is it a good movie? Yeah, it's not it's a movie. It's not terrible. But, like, what else you got to do? Chill the fuck out. Sit down and, like, just watch a movie and don't take the world. Don't be so serious.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you haven't really heard too many people gripe about it. I wonder if people have kind of come to that conclusion. It's like, you know what? I'm not going to tweet about. If I didn't like it, it's fine. I'm not gonna send that tweet.
I'm not gonna yuck somebody's yum. Like, fuck it.
All right. Well, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Visit our website. We're at languageofbros.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at languageofbro. Email us at bros@languageofbros.com. And as always, we'd like to thank our patrons, Wendy and Aaron.
You are our kaijus, and we love you. And we'd love to use another kaiju brain to control your brains. And I don't know. I got nothing. I kind of trailed off in that.
You had me, and then
it just kind of fell apart.
And then I'd use you to like break into like banks and steal money to send it to me.
And one of you guys would blow a hole to the center of the earth, and
then
there'd be a robot Mecha Wendy and Mecha Aaron, and they give us I don't know. Let's keep going.
All right. Well, is there anything else before I close her out?
I'm good.
All right. Well, as always, thanks again, John, for jumping on. We always appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you in a couple weeks for some Mortal Kombat talk. But until then, that's all the Bromance we have for this show. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Richard.
And I'm John.
And remember, don't be a why. Be a why not. It'd take a long time to climb back through that hole, though.
The monkey, sorry, primate, leapt out of. He did this like Donkey Kong leap out of the fucking hole. Meanwhile, that ship takes like 30 minutes to fly up. But who cares? Fuck it. Just let it alone.
Perfect.